name is John Ikondja. As always, I bring you good content and a great platform where young people always share their ideas. So today, we're going to have a very, very interesting guest. Trust me, our guest today is a trailblazer in management system. And she's a change maker who is very hardworking. This lady is very, very determined to, do great things like make positive impacts in the corporate world. And she goes by the name of Lisa Matomola, if you don't know her. No, not Matomola, Matomola. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, John?
I'm excited to have you on.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for coming through, man. You are the managing consultant and founder of Hito HR and training consultant. I mean, you work across public and private sector. You've made moves there, and you've also provided advisories to many presentations. I mean, to many executives rather, and senior managers, and you've also provided talks with presentations of high level events. This is great. You're like, again, please, I have to greet you again in this manner. Let me say Kwinavule.
Hande.
I don't know how to respond.
Hande.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for joining us, man. I had to Google you. You are those one of those lucky people I have to Google.
I'm impressed.
Really?
I'm shocked.
Did you ever try to Google yourself?
Sometimes, if
Really?
I want to see whether or not I'm a good child, I do that.
Okay, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us, man. I really want to know who this lady, Lisa Matomola, is. How do you describe her?
Wow. How would I describe Lisa? She's 34 years old. I'm actually turning 34 on Saturday.
Off the calendar.
Off the calendar.
How do you feel about it? Feel like you're getting old?
No.
Really?
I feel
You're still
young.
young.
I still feel young.
In kicking.
In kicking. So
Great.
born and bred in the Zambezi region.
Right.
I'm the firstborn of my parents.
Mm-hmm.
So to describe myself, I'm just a girl with a passion for people, with an educational background of just wanting to study more and make an impact, like you described in the beginning.
Right.
Very reserved at times, although I'm always out in the public. But I grew up a very reserved person. So there are still people that don't even believe when they see me presenting, like, is that Lisa? But as you join the corporate world, you learn to come out, or you need to expose yourself. So, but I'm an introvert, extrovert, borderline. Mm-hmm. So I can choose to be very, very social, and I can choose to be very, very, very quiet. But I love my space. I'm always at home.
Right.
What else? I'm a runner. So I run for the Windhoek City Runners Club.
Hello.
And I sing in my choir as well at church.
What don't you do at the end of the day? I mean, I was expecting you to say you're a farmer now.
I don't drink alcohol, so that's one thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so unfortunately, the breweries cannot sponsor this platform because we have non-drinkers.
Yeah.
Okay. So you grew up in the Zambezi region.
Yes.
Which part exactly?
I actually, I was actually born in Botswana.
Botswana.
Yeah, my grandparent lived in Impalila, the island. So I'm sure you heard about the Chindo brothers, the village where they come from. That's where my grandparents, my grandmother used to stay. So I was born in Botswana. But I grew up in Katima-Mulilo. That's where I started my primary school.
Right.
And my mom got a teaching job in one of the rural schools. So when your mom gets a job and you haven't been living with her, you get to move with her. So for 2 years, I attended school in the rural villages. It was kind of like a culture shock. First time on a canoe. But I always look back at those 2 years and I'm like, they were actually the best 2 years of my life. Far away from fast life. You get to eat fish fresh from the river. Of course. And then grade 8, my dad also now started teaching. So I came to live with my dad somewhere in it's kind of Vukalo. That's where our royal house is.
Okay, yes.
Is it the Kuta? Yeah.
So are you like somehow linked to the
No,
royal family?
it's
No?
like no. That's where the royal village
Oh,
is.
the royal
the
village
kingdom.
is. Okay, right.
Yeah. So, but there's a school there. So my father was teaching there, and for 3 years, that's where I did my secondary school.
Mm-hmm.
And my grade 11 and 12, I came to Caprivi Senior Secondary School, back to Kativa. So I was like in town, off town, came
Yeah.
back to town again.
How was the experience like having both your parents like being teachers?
My father actually taught me, and he taught me mathematics
Ah.
and physical science.
Mhm.
So being a teacher's child, you always have to lead by example.
Exactly.
People pick on you. So luckily I was a smart kid, but now sometimes when you pass, people think your dad showed you the exam paper, but I always prove myself.
Hey, Lisa, no. So you were those lucky ones who were given question papers?
No, I'm saying people always thought,
Oh,
like,
okay, okay,
but
okay.
now when you write a test, when he marks, he marks my mark.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did that shape who you are today, man? Like growing up, having your parents being really present and like having to lay their hands on your educational career at such a young age.
They were very strict, so I grew up knowing that I need to stay away from boys.
Ish, obviously.
Books first.
Okay.
Choose your friends wisely. So when your parents are teachers, they watch you. So even
Right.
the behavior at school, you need to model certain behavior, because even the teachers know you and they will threaten you. They're like, we are going to tell your mom, or you're going to tell your dad. So there was always that level of to just discipline.
Yes.
So I was very disciplined.
Right.
All I knew is that I had to avoid being in trouble and just do school and church activities.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's then from there, high school, and now let's go to tertiary.
Tertiary, I came to the University of Namibia.
All right. Which year is this?
2005.
2005.
Yes.
Right.
So one thing people don't know, I actually did science for my first year, Bachelor of Science, but I was like, because my dad wanted me to be a pharmacist.
Pharmacist.
I was like,
Why pharmacist?
I remember one time we were sitting at the village and he opened a newspaper and he saw some job advert and he said, it would be nice to have a daughter that would be a pharmacist. So when I came, and when you're a science student, you're like, no, I should study science, be a pharmacist or medicine. I later realized it's not for me. It's not working. It's so I.
How long in the year were you in still?
It was just first year, and then
First year.
I moved to psychology. Yeah.
Okay. Were they understanding enough to accept the change?
Yeah, because I even remember when I was searching for courses, I there was one book. Ministry of Labor used to produce books, so I was staring and I wanted to be a psychologist. So there was a lady.
It's
in
the
a
books that
room.
have the careers. And
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Okay.
There was a
I
lady
remember
sitting, and then I was just stuck on that psychology, and I thought, yeah, maybe psychology is my calling, but I studied psychology, so. And I furthered my studies with UNISA.
Okay.
However, I didn't go clinical way. I went the industrial way, which was the psychology in the workplace, dealing with employees in the workplace. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And then let's after that, what happened? You went to look for a job, or you went to further your studies again?
Man, so when you graduate with a psychology degree in Namibia, it's like it's nothing. But let me not say it's nothing, but practically it's like it's the foundation.
Because people obviously would think that you study psychology and then it's like you will be a therapist or a psychologist, just sitting there asking people questions how they feel, and stuff like that. But what exactly was it about from your perspective?
So after university, when we graduated, we actually realized psychology is not the easiest market that you penetrate.
Right.
You need to study further, and if you want to study and become a clinical psychologist, it's even more daunting, and the opportunities are less. You must complete your internship, you must do your masters, and it's a whole lot of things that you must complete. So I finished, but when I graduated, I remember I did work for the University of Namibia, where I was doing research. Yeah, so conducting research. There was a department at the university working on a research study, a national study.
Right.
So for that period, I was doing that. And after that, I had to now re-strategize again and think, what is next? So And then I was at home for a few months. But I always found something, and I had to do internship. Actually got a job with the Ministry of Labor as a psychological counselor, but I couldn't, because in psychology now you have to register and be registered, because you cannot practice without registration. It's a field that is really, really regulated. So I did my pre-evaluation. They said, go back again, you are not ready. So
that's what got you back to studying.
Yeah.
That was your first job.
Yeah. Okay. I actually didn't even get in the job, because for you to do the job, you must pass the pre-evaluation of the Health Profession Council. And I was like, I'm not going to do clinical psychology. If this is what it takes, let me go industrial psychology. So I went to UNISA, and I got my honors degree. But even after my honors degree, in Namibia, to get a job, you must have experience.
Exactly.
So it was not easy, but
we're gonna get to that later.
Yeah.
But okay, so tell us about Hito HR. This is a company you founded now.
Yes, so it's actually pronounced Shito.
Shito.
Yes.
Oh, why HITO?
It's a Japanese word for people.
Hito.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain. Okay, tell us, how did it come about? When did the idea start?
So I worked at PwC before Shito for 5 years, and in 2020 the company was restructuring. So I was moved to a different department, and the department that I was moved to was not aligned to my plans and what I wanted. So I remember I went to my boss and said, I don't think I want to move to that department. So the journey ends here, and now I'm going to leave. And he thought, are you okay? Did you get another job? What's happening? And then I said, no, but I'm going to figure it out. So I thought I was going to look for a job, but December was my last day, I remember, the 15th. So when I left, I didn't know what to do. I thought, I'm just going to look for a job and then come back into the workplace.
This whole thing of you having to look for a job, how was the experience like? Because I mean, there must have been a point of you wanting to give up. Because was it that easy to find a job? I think that's my question. Was it that easy to find a job, and how was it?
So when I graduated, finding a job was not easy, but I was fortunate enough to work in the HIV/AIDS space. So I was doing research for 3 years before I went to PwC.
Wow.
I was doing HIV/AIDS counseling, testing, research, and different projects, and I fell in love with the field. But then because it's project based, contract ended, and then before I even joined PwC, I was interviewed at PwC the first time. I didn't get the job, and then the second time they called me and they were like, hey Lisa, how are you? Do you want to have tea, coffee? And I said yes, and that was like the same month that my contract ended. So I came and I met the director at the time. They asked me a few questions. It was actually an interview, but because they had already interviewed me on the technical part, then I was just interviewed for other areas in terms of my personality and all that. And on the 1st of April, I started at PwC. So PwC is always, I say it was a blessing, because that's where my career in industrial psychology did start. But I did internship in between, like I think it was 2011. I did my internship in HR, but it was for a short period of time. So it's been a journey of job here,
job there,
job there, home here, home there.
Okay, but are you happy with the experience? Because I methis is a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then comes Shito.
Every job I've actually had. In the beginning, I thought, you know, when you're so eager, you want to be in your field. But later on, when I joined PwC, I looked back. I was like, I did admin, I did HIV testing and interviewing, research. And when you do HIV testing, you need a skill, empathy, listening, eye contact, paying attention to detail, just talking. So in consulting, it's the same. So it was very easy to adapt and to just gel in. Yeah.
All right. So what was the experience like? Working in these companies, and which one was the the most difficult to work at?
So with the other jobs, it was mostly projects. So it's like you're just on a project. You're
So
deployed in
okay.
Gatima, but it was more fun. You meet different people, but there were deadlines when you work with Americans, of course.
Yes, of course.
So there's always deadlines, numbers, and it's the same environment. Even when I joined PwC, it's deadlines, it's numbers. So all of them, they were fun, but I believe PwC shaped me into the person that I am in terms of building me in becoming that consultant that I am. Of course, it wasn't easy, but learning every day, working with diversified teams and clients. But yeah, when the going gets tough.
But the salary was good, obviously. Okay, let's go back to Hito. Okay, you founded Hito which year?
Hito was founded in January 2021.
2021?
Yes.
Recently?
Yes. So when I
then for you to obviously start something like this, you have to leave your job.
Yeah.
Okay, but how okay, first tell us how it came about, and then maybe later on we can get to like somebody like you having to risk all of that, having to give up on your job.
Yeah.
To just stick to something that you really love.
So when I left PwC, I said I thought I was gonna look for a job, but when I went to the village, when you go to the village, your home, and so ideas started coming. I was like,
I actually also always do that.
Yeah.
I want to build ideas. I go to the north.
Yeah, so I'll go to the field. I'll record videos, and I realized actually I have content, man. Like, why should I look for a job?
Exactly.
So I started now doing the name, the branding, the logo. I asked my uncle to design a logo for me already. When we were at the village, we even got a logo. So when I came back one day, I was just sitting and I was like, today I'm just going to. So I just decided. I went on LinkedIn, opened a page, and said, I work. I actually changed my job title and say I work at Hito, but it was not even registered yet. That same week, I started with the business registration, everything, the inland revenue, and before we knew it, the first client was in February.
Really?
For training.
But then tell us what the business model is about, HR and training. How would you explain it in layman's terms?
It's really consulting. It's consulting, but HR consulting or people consulting. So anything that has to do with people, aligning structures to strategy, making sure that the jobs that are there aligned in terms of, and people have the right people, updating job description, writing job description, grading the positions, so people can be paid at the right levels. And upskilling is very important. So and when people get promoted, there's always that missing element in terms of the soft skills. So if you're an accountant, all you know is numbers. But now when you start working with people, it's difficult to manage people. So that's where we come in: the emotional intelligence, the performance management, the supervisory. How do you delegate? If I give you work and say, Lisa, why should you give me work and stuff like that? So just taking people through, and I've been doing a lot of coaching as well, especially preparing people for interviews and career coaching as well. People, I've actually noticed that people are stuck in jobs that they are not really passionate about, but now they want to come out and they don't know how to come out. So just coming up with ideas before you leave a job. There are decisions that need to be made, so taking them through that journey, or putting in the risks and the benefits, and then planning long term.
But what are the challenges that you face having to work all these kind of things?
Burnout.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah, sometimes the work can be a lot, but luckily I have a team that we work together. And I always have to be in so many places at the same time. But I'm learning to manage my time and my calendar. And when you start, it's a lot of, you do everything. So I need to do the finances, I need to do the proposals, and everything. But yeah, I think I'm managing so far.
So far you're managing?
Yeah.
So how was it, having to take this risk? Because, obviously there should be some high level of discipline for you to manage something like this after leaving your job. I mean, for you to even want to achieve your desired results, I mean, like it must be hard. But then, how do you keep a self-discipline? How do you, because I mean, for you to just wake up and come to work, I mean, because you are your own entrepreneur, you are very flexible, you can come and like work at your own hours. How do you keep that level of discipline?
To go back to your first question in terms why the risk and all that, job satisfaction is very important. So the one thing, when I decided to leave my job, I even remember having a conversation and say, I want to wake up, come to a job that I'm not really passionate about, because it's not about the company. Sometimes it's about the job. So if I wake up, do I want to be pushing papers? Do I just want to sit behind a desk? And I was like, that's not me. I've been doing consulting for 5 years. So why being not a consultant, why should I be, the frustration that comes with unhappiness. So
Right.
I was always a happy employee. So I didn't want that to be taken away from me in terms of I come to work and I'm depressed and I was like, hi Lisa, and I'm like, hi John. so I needed to feel excited. And then with the discipline, I'll again say, when you work for a professional firm, we are trained to be different people. So you have that discipline and say, work starts this time, and they are deliverable. So in consulting, you have deadlines. Client will say, I want my stuff. You can't sleep and say, okay, it's cloudy, I need to sleep. But it's also about what you want to give back. Do you want to be known? Because the customer experience is important. Clients will do work for you because of the agency that you put in, the quality, and also how fast you deliver. So it's and the faster you deliver the money, the quicker the invoices. Because when you're done your invoice, then you move on to the next one. But it's all about, and when you have a team, you need to pay salaries. So you can't just sit and say, I will work whatever time I want. So it's every hour, every is money. So it's costed. If you sleep, you lose out. But if you say, I'm going to out there and do the work, then it's yeah.
Did you wish you've started this company sooner?
Actually, I think it was at the right time. I never thought I would start my own company.
Okay.
I was against the norm of being, I'm not a business person. So even when I was still a consultant, still employed, people would say, no, you should think about your own. I was like, no, I'm a happy employee. I'm getting the exposure that I want, and things are guaranteed. So I'm not thinking of.
But then obviously you have to adapt to adopt a business mindset.
Yeah.
How did you do it? In this regard, obviously having to own your business, do you have somebody that has like business administration expertise that you kind of brought into the picture for them to kind of help you, better the business on a business perspective, in terms of finances and all of that?
So I come from a consulting background. So what I'm doing here is exactly
consultation.
Yeah.
Pretty
so
much.
And you are trained to think business. You are trained to you had to make money. So it was like embedded in me, and it just have to run with it. So I was and that's the benefit of experience.
Right.
That we sometimes take for granted. Because when you are there, you are doing everything, the invoicing, the proposals, the costing, the forecasting, following up on invoices, and you think, why am I doing this? I'm just supposed to be doing my work. But later on you realize, for you to be a fully fledged consultant and a business-minded person, and then the people that I worked with, they taught me that business model, be in the market,
right.
Pricing and so and even when I left, there are people that mentor me. I work with different people still as well in the consulting, partnering with other HR professionals, and getting ideas from other people. So if I can't think, I'll just ask, how do I do this? Because you can't figure it all out.
In essence, it's networking. Yeah. So okay, you before I get to the you wanted to name your company Impact, in fact.
How do you know that? Wow.
You wanted to name it Impact, and then which is also the values of your company.
Yes.
Explain that a little bit. How did that come about?
So when I was doing the business registration with names, it's very I'm not very creative when it comes to ideas like naming and things. So I'll send this to people and they'll say no. But I didn't want to use my name as well. I'm like, I don't want to be known as what. And then Lisa what? So
Exactly,
it wasn't rhyming. And then I did impact and then I was like, no, it's already in the system.
Oh, no.
Then I was like, okay, so what? So after impact, I was like, you know what? I'm done. Then I just went Japanese word for people. And then I saw it's written Hito. Then I was like, okay. And I went on YouTube, Japanese word for people. And then it was like Shito. Shito. In fact, they go like Shito. So I kept replaying Shito. So I'm like Shito. And then
actually sounds good.
And when I did it, it was approved. So I was like, why should I stress about naming the company? And I think it's also unique because there's always a story behind to just say Japanese word for people. But people ask, why Japanese?
Exactly. Why Japanese?
I was reading an article on burnout in the workplace in Japan. So about 10,000 employees die every year from what they call karoshi, which is employee fatigue. So people die from workplace because they work longer hours, they work too much, they don't take time off. So I was like, it will always remind me to remind people in the workplace that sometimes you need that integration and flexibility and managing it's not always about work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you made obviously the word that you made that you wanted to name your company before.
Yes.
You changed to your company value.
Yeah.
I like the abbreviation. I wanted you to explain a little bit on that as well.
So the I is for improvement. To when you work in an organization or when I deal with people, any individual, there must be improvement. If I meet John today, by tomorrow he must be somebody else. And the M is for motivation. So just to continue motivating people. And P is for passion. So everything that we do is because of the love for the work. And A is for accountability. Of course, there will be times when you mess up or when people are not happy with the report. So the accountability is important. And C is for communication. You cannot not communicate, and so if communication has to be everywhere, and the T is for building trust and just making sure that people believe in the brand and the work that we do.
That's nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Trust me, that's beautiful. You touched on mentorship earlier as well. I mean, just to young people watching this episode right now, just advise them on how important mentorship is, and how it helps them move forward with initiatives that they want to build or careers that they are undertaking.
Mentorship is important. When we graduate, all you have is your degree, but the world out there is different. So there will always be people that know more than you. Sometimes it's not even people that know more than you, people with just different experiences, because you can learn from somebody's experience. So to have somebody to guide you, to have somebody to coach you, to have somebody to believe in you, because mentors actually believe in you and they think you can become somebody else, and they share the journey with you, and they want to see you from point A to point B. So it's really important, and mentors can actually introduce you to opportunities.
Yes.
In the workplace we call them, what is the word, sponsors. But now a mentor is somebody who is not obviously in the same organization as you, but they can guide you and say, everyone has a blind spot. So if I'm not really good at a certain skill or competency, the mentor can bring that about me. Maybe what I post on social media, I'm always saying certain stuff that is not aligned to the brand or something.
Right.
So the mentor can come in and say, this is not right, or this is not good.
Okay. So how did you find your mentor?
Wow, I have different mentors. Some are like my friends. Some are like people that I worked with. So on different aspects, and sometimes it can even be personal stuff. So I and you also choose in terms of who can really make a difference to me, because if I know John and I, all we do is go to Kapana, all we will do is Kapana. But if I talk to somebody who's good maybe at finance and say, so how do I come about finance, or I'm actually struggling in this area. So some are people that know so much. They've been in the industry for a very long time.
Right.
Some are just people that know me personally, and they say, when you do this, it's not you. When you do that, it's you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The next topic I want to touch on is your overall impression of Namibian corporate environment. Do you think that institutions are living up to the principles of corporate governance? Do you think so?
Wow, that's it's very sensitive. There are some companies that have good corporate governance in place. I mean, corporate governance is all about following policies and procedures and implementing. So it's really about ethics
Right.
in the workplace. So there are companies that are very ethical and following that, but there are those that really divert from what is in their policies, and they do things, and we see them, we know them, we read about them. So if you're not implementing the policies, then it becomes a challenge.
Do you think there's you think there's a chance that situations can be improved?
Yes, they are, because with the audit findings that come out, a lot of companies are forced to implement. So if your audit opinion is showing gaps, and that's where we come in, because for example, if the audit report says you don't have a compliance officer, which is one of the most emerging roles, or if you don't have a legal advisor, if you don't have an internal auditor, then that is really crucial, because it means that things are being signed off, money is being paid off without anybody policing, without anybody, and mostly it affects the financial performance of
And which sector would you say it's more affected? Is it the private or public when it comes to this, what we like, especially the corporate governance thing?
the public sector.
It's more
The
affected.
public sector is
All
more
right.
affected because of there's sometimes it's also political. I mean, with the politicians,
That can never be disregarded.
yeah.
Okay. Which just actually even brings us to our next topic again. Your take on politics. As a young person, do you think it's important for you to take part in politics, and how important is it to as a citizen?
I think we need politics. The politicians, they are the leaders of this country. So without them, I mean, we need the government. So we need it to be there. But participating is a personal choice, whether or not people want to take part. And universities are producing political science graduates. So what is their role? And we need the activists. I mean, they make things happen. So some of us can just be in the background and not be involved in the politics, but we need, and politics is also good because it can bring about social change, and when we vote, we vote for change. So we still need that.
Okay. All right. You some people, especially young people who have started initiatives of any kind, businesses, kind of get to find themselves in situations where politics kind of draws them in for them to kind of build a bigger business model, or for them to kind of even have a bigger business profile because of the political political connection. What's your take on this?
If you want to sleep at night, stay away from trouble. So Shino Vene Emmanuel is a friend of mine.
Okay.
And he told me one thing, and every day I meditate on what he said to me. He said, no matter what you do, stay away from shady business. So I always, and that's the kind of mentoring sometimes that I talk about. Sometimes it's just friends that give you good advice. So I'm not about growing a business on unnecessary proceedings.
Okay. All right, let's move on to being your job being an HR specialist. There's a thing about being an I want to gauge your views on experience in general, because there's this thing of if a requirement in job advertisements is that you really have to have experience, and for some companies, or for somebody who just come out of school or varsity for that matter, it's hard to kind of get into a job that requires you to have 4 years or more experience. What's your take on this, and how do you think it's fair, in fact?
Do I think it's fair? Of course not. It's tough because first of all, universities also we just trained read, graduate, except now that the curriculum is changing with a bit of experience in terms of internship. But back then, you just graduate with your degree and then you go figure it out. So it's also a bit hard because the entry level positions, they are not there. You either start at a lower level in terms of a receptionist, find your way, but there are also positions where we also can't really say and overlook and say you can be a manager today without really putting you on the journey. But there must be, it should be both. Graduates should be willing to learn, and employers should also be ready to impart. But because of the training and development that is costly, it's a bit of a challenge. But I think things have changed. I actually attended the youth engagement with the president this morning, and even government is what is the word? Kind of changing their entry-level positions, so they're dealing away with those 10 years, 5 years position, but they're making provision for graduates to get exposure as well. They even have a budget for internship. A lot of corporates I've seen, FNB, MTC has an internship program as well. So it's a lot of, not just MTC, but a lot of companies, Pepkavits, I've actually been coaching a lot of graduates going for graduate trainee programs, your mining sector.
Pretty much same as apprenticeship, yes?
Yeah, so it's there, and they get salaries. It's not like they don't get salaries. It's actually a job, but you are in training.
It's almost like an on-job training while they're still doing the course of their studies.
Yeah.
Right.
And often after a year, people get, because it's all about your performance, your attitude, and your commitment to the work. So when people get that opportunity, it's just to run with it and not sleep on the job.
Okay, so let's go to social media. How important is social media to in your business?
It's actually my marketing strategy. So that's where I get my clients, especially on LinkedIn. And it has an impact because people know about Hito. I had an American client, and he said he saw the post on social media. Wow. So when you post and people share the page, people like it goes beyond, and or sometimes just communicating and say, this is the work that we are doing, this is a training that we just completed, and then the next thing there's an inbox, we also want the same training, or come and review our job description. We also, so it's very important. Social media, they call it, is it digital marketing or online marketing? Yes. So it's
how about personal social media usage?
So my Twitter page is kind of my business page, because of time to also run 2 pages at the same time is kind of a hectic. But it's sometimes you're a young person, you still want to be fun and tweets about soccer, about running, but it's also about what you put out there, because if you are telling people about how to behave in the workplace, the image that you portray and the reputation, because it's the clients that you deal with, they don't want to see their consultant in things that are not
inappropriate, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your take on women empowerment currently in our country? Do you think that women, especially young women, are getting empowered and are being supported to climb the ladder?
The future is female, and when women are given the opportunity,
the future is female.
Yes, they do. They do rise. And if you look at the banking sector, most of the CEOs in the big banks, I think 3 of the banks, they are females. And
main banks in the country.
In fact, there are 4. Okay. 4. Yeah, 4 out of the how many banks that we have, they are females. So a lot of SOEs, they are being run by women. So a lot of executive women we are no longer in the kitchen, we are in the boardrooms. So It's a friend of mine was actually telling me that the profile of a career person in Namibia is you are black and you are a woman, so and you are young.
When you are young.
So there is um, um, opportunities for women. We just need to come out and the best leaders are women.
Hey, no, I disagree. I disagree.
It's okay. The other gender, there's always the other gender.
No, but okay, well, let's agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you advise young people to just not give up? I mean, look at you. You are doing so much great things, honestly. And I'm highly motivated by what you do. But you seem like you really from a very interesting background. You work hard. But then where does your motivation come from, and how would you like to share it to our viewers, who are watching and who really are also striving to just do great things like you are?
One thing maybe I need to mention, John, is when I also couldn't find a job in my field at a certain point in my life, I was kind of angry at somebody, but I don't know who I was angry at. I just felt like somebody was responsible for me not having a job. And I remember a friend of mine would come and I'd complain about everything, but the day I changed my mindset and I say, I'm sitting here complaining will not fix stuff. So sometimes you need to act, and by acting you invest in yourself. And my parents are teachers. Teachers don't get the most high salaries, but it was that thing. If I get a job, I used to do small job like the projects I'll get. I say I'm going to pay for my studies instead of buying a car or buying a cell phone that is expensive or staying in an apartment that is luxurious. It's just staying in a small room with a bed, small fridge.
Living within your means.
Living within your means, but I was investing in my studies and I was paying for my studies. And before you know it, the degree is done. And then you move on to the next. And so I had to change my mindset. And the day I changed my mindset, even opportunities started lending themselves. And just waking up and saying, you know what, even if it's not today, tomorrow. And I used to watch, and I read a lot of positive books. So Joe Austin.
Oh, my favorite as well.
Yeah. So he changed my thinking, and I would watch his. My mom actually used to tell me about Joe Austin. She used to watch a lot about. I was like,
what's your favorite book by him?
The Power of I Am.
Oh, okay. Mine is Every Day is a Friday.
Yeah, but there's one book that changed me. Is it the Breakthrough?
Breakthrough,
or
yes.
is it the Breakout? It's
something
Breakout.
in that line. I have actually not learned about that.
Yeah,
okay.
Breakout. So when I read that book, I actually met a guy a few weeks ago. He was reading the same book, and I walked to him and I said, that book changed my life.
So you'd advise all young people to read as well?
To read. Read positive books. It's the content that you feed yourself in with. So if you think negative, if you think I'll never get a job, you'll never get a job. But if you wake up and you say, might not be today, economy might be tough, and employment is at 50%, but that other 50%, and also what are you doing? So I was on LinkedIn. I would just do things, just being out there. So exposure is also a good, and it also comes back to the content. So if you put out stuff there, employers don't want to be associated with people that are just causing drama.
Right. And speaking of doing things, you also do presentations as well. How does it feel just stand in front of a massive crowd and just be so able to speak? Where do you get all that confidence from? Because is it something maybe that you learn from HR that has to do with organizational development, Nyana, or where is it?
Because of the nature of my job, I'm a training facilitator. Wow. I talk with people all the time, so the shyness is somewhere. When I leave my house, I say, Lisa, the shy girl, you stay here. The other Lisa is going out there. So
okay.
When I'm there, it's I don't know. I should just say it just comes out. But it's also before you do it, there is some nerves, but it's also preparation. So I make sure I read, I understand, I know what I'm going to say, because if you don't know what to say, confidence comes from knowledge and experience. So also watching how does Simon Sinek present his things, what does he say, going on YouTube, TEDx talks and all that.
Yes, TED Talks, favorite. Okay, so what's next for you? But no, before that, tell us what you do in your spare time. Obviously, you spoke about running, fitness. How important is fitness to you?
It's running is me.
Running is you. Ha! That's a big quote. We'll write it down. We'll put it there on the screen.
Yeah, so it's even after a long day, running always, because when you run, you produce some hormones, feel good hormones, and no matter how stressed you are, no matter how bad you feel good. But I like to run in the morning because I'm a morning person.
Okay.
So it kind of boosts my energy levels,
And your confidence
my
as well.
confidence. No matter what you say to me, I'll just look at you like, nah, not today.
I ran this morning, so not today.
Yeah. So in my spare time, if I'm not running, I'm reading. This year I had a target of reading a book every month.
Wow.
Sometimes I read 2.
How's it going for you so far?
Kind of went down.
Ish.
But there was one book I read for 2 months because of the nature of the work. But when work kind of slowed down, I picked up again.
Right.
Yeah, so if I'm not running, I'm reading, or I have a day. Saturdays is a day I go run and then I do nothing. I watch Netflix because I need to switch off and just recharge and renew my strength.
Right. Okay. So what's next for Lisa? Are we expecting a book? Are we expecting a whole documentary soon about yourself, about how life came about? Or what's next for you?
A book.
A book?
A management book.
Please, viewers, a book is coming.
A book is coming.
Yeah.
So it's here.
It's here. It's here.
It's here.
We'll do the debut.
In fact, start saving your money. I know it's December. When other people go to Matomola, you say, this is for...
This is for my self-development.
Yes.
All right, Lisa.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, John.
All right. How do you close off how do you say thank you in your language?
Naritumela.
Ish, was too fast.
Naritumela.
Nalitumela. Nalitumela. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Lisa Matomola telling us all great things that young girls should have and should watch out for. That was a great episode that we have for you today. John Ikondja was my name. And, we brought, this episode is brought to you by a great guy, called Top Notch Media, who's bringing us this great, visual, giving us all this production. We are great people trying to bring you great content, trying to motivate you, trying to bring you great things, great stories from great people who are out there doing things. Keep watching, man. Make sure you subscribe, like, share this content. We're about to bring you even much better content from me, John Ikondja, and the rest of the production crew. Peace out.